All right, so today I have something special for you to check out. I've been a little bit behind on my videos, but there's been so many things going on, and it's getting close to the holidays, and just life is really chaotic right now. But let's take a moment to enjoy the special 1989 Legoland catalog. This is the year that the Pirates came out. And what a glorious display. Arguably the best pirate ship was the first ship. We'll get into that in a second. Not much to this display and this cover design, but I love it. It's so cool. Like, all of the other lines of Lego are anticipating the arrival of the pirates coming by moonlight. They're looking over the bay and they see them coming. I just think that's pretty cool. They really knew how to grab the imagination of a kid, much less my own. What are we, 38, 40 years ago? 36 years ago, excuse my math, terrible. And it still captures my imagination. I love how they lit the scene. Where's that light coming from? I guess from above? It's not, the moon's lit up, but the light on the water isn't necessarily coming from that moon. I think that's so cool. So here we go. We're going to be diving into earlier and earlier sets. And some 80s sets for castles, specifically in the days to come, until we make our way through all of them, every last one. And then we can talk about more to come after that. So stay tuned. Here we go. So as always, especially in the early days, they had, I guess, suggestions on ages and certain types of sets built for certain ages. The main sets that you could build, themed sets, were originally entitled Legoland for most of the 80s, and also a couple years of the early 90s until 92. I specifically remember the Black Knight's Castle, Dungeon Master's Castle, it was named, coming out in the catalog in 1992. And things were changed to Lego System instead of Legoland. Not sure the reasoning behind that, and if anyone knows, of course, you all have been awesome about commenting about stuff from your experience in your specific decade, maybe, that you collected Legos, or country. Some of you are from other countries, and you provide insight on different ways. Or you may remember other publications that they had. For instance, I don't know how early you could join the Builders Club, but there was always a Lego club involved, and so you may have read things about and seen different things from that perspective if you were part of the Lego club back in the day. I think I was for like 2 years in the mid-90s. But yeah, there's always weird questions, interesting insights, and I love what you guys provide every time we dive into sets as well as the catalogs. Duplo, I think Duplo had been around for a while, and we'll get into the 80s, the history of that. And this is Basic. The Basic line was discontinued, I think, 1990. I don't think I saw it in 1990's catalog. And then thereafter. But it basically is not themed. You can find these today. People are selling these used out of, their house, yard sale, or Facebook Marketplace and things like that. But they've still got the box and all that, and all the pieces. Those were quite common back in the day. And then enter the Legoland. Oh, there's 1974. This is probably one of my favorite multi-themed value packs. And this one actually was boxed. That box is worth a lot. If you have a set, if you have that box, or if you have collected or acquired this value pack, 1974, That box is hardly ever to be found. Man, that one's a rare one. And this one's a rare... This is quite common. We had this. I remember this little ship. We'll get into the themes. I really don't know them off the top of my head right now in the 80s. But this Smuggler's Hayride, this feather that's black, tiny, and there's a few other pieces here that are very hard to find as well. But I love that value pack. And in Legoland, this is the first year of the Pirates theme. And what a glorious collection it is. Actually, a pretty small collection. Only 4 sets. Which is kind of weird. But at least you've got, of course, there's Captain Redbeard and his men as they plot to steal the treasure chest full of gold from Governor Broadside and all the settlers. The settlers, apparently, they're not any specific military nation. Read more about the adventures of the pirates on the box that each set comes in. Well, that was smart, though. I guess they kept it politically correct without naming names. But this is arguably Black Sea's Barracuda. Come on, get in focus here. It's arguably the best pirate ship, even to this day. I absolutely think it is. I love the design. I love how there's kind of a yellow gold around the accent of it. Molding, like crown molding everywhere. It's very, the red and stuff kind of is rebellious. And the flags of the pirates are rebellious and renegade-ish. But then at the same time, there's royalty in it. Oh, come on, focus. And it has got to be the best pirate ship, in my opinion. Oh, it just looks so classic. My catalog's a little faded. It's not the best. So they get a pirate ship, and then they get a base, sort of some leftover washed away pieces that they kind of slap together with a catwalk and some rope, an abandoned mast, a shipwreck, Forbidden Island. And then the, quote, settlers, I kind of just thought of them as, French brigadiers or French imperial soldiers because of the blue. That's the way I thought of them. That could be completely wrong, but each of you has your own interpretation, I'm sure. So the blue imperial soldiers, we'll call them soldiers because they weren't just settlers. No. And they have a governor, Governor Broadside. They have a fortress, El Dorado Fortress, as well as their little ship, the Caribbean Clipper, which was definitely a great design. Really small. I do kind of wish they would have built a bigger ship to rival the Black Sea's Barracuda. Maybe even just one more ship piece. Hull piece. But there you can see the display. I love how there's a shadow of somebody up above, behind the sail. Look at those pristine sails. They're so impossible to find nowadays. I don't know. Maybe you can say in the comments how you might restore them. They're almost always stained and folded in all the used sets that people have saved through the years in their boxes and wrinkled and crumpled up. You may be able to iron them. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's any good care instructions that you have out there. Someone could leave a comment about that. There's a shark getting a guy. There's a monkey jumping on the soldier up here. It's kind of faded. It's hard to see, I know, but in these vintage photographs. This is a rather dynamic scene for just 2 sets. And then this is interesting because these are some of the new elements you'll find in Pirates Collection. A cannon that fires for action at sea. Now, this is the only year, and so me being American and having all the American sets and American catalogs and the editions of everything in North America, the North American version, this is the only time I ever see in the catalogs or in any edition of anything this talk of firing these cannons. Otherwise, from what I hear, that these firing cannons were only available in the UK. And I know that for a fact because I never had any. We never had any of these firing cannons, and we could never find any. And that was pretty disappointing. However, there were friends of mine that did have them. And I'm not really sure how that came to be. Maybe you can help explain your story in the comments about that. Did you have friends who had the firing cannons? Are you from another country in which this was actually common? Because I could not ever find this growing up. We never had that, or were we allowed to, for that matter. Excuse me. We weren't allowed to carry toy weapons around anyways. However, I really long to find some of these, and that way you could replace them in the sets that don't have firing cannons. If you know where they are or how to get your hands on those, let me know, because sometimes they are there and sometimes they aren't, and I'm never able to find them. All right, moving on. We could talk forever about pirates, and yeah. So in Legoland, there are town and different themes. This year, the new release was this coastal rescue base, as you can see, with a helicopter. And this theme actually carried through, even to the mid-90s, this little lifeguard coastal rescue. That's a great scene. The water looks really good. It doesn't look like plastic. I don't know what material that is in the display, but it looks great. Let's move on. So here are all those sets on the next page. I like how they have so many town sets that they had to make the main display photograph on the previous page. I think that's great. We had some of these race cars. This was a bit before my time, albeit we did collect some small town sets. We weren't as big on town. You know, being young boys in the vintage Lego days, we, of course, were into the more fantastical themes. Although we did have a lot of these race cars. I really like that Derby Trotter. That's really cool with the horse racer, or maybe it's a, yeah. The vacation camper is pretty cool. My dad was an ER doc, so we bought this for him once. You know how kids buy things for their parents. Space. So this was a big thing for us in the 90s, but we did not really collect much of the 80s space sets. Here's Space Police, the first iteration, and they re-released Space Police several times, at least 2 times. I like the design of that ship. I love that ship. I think it's really cool. Some of these others, it's, I believe, Blacktron, the first iteration of Blacktron. They're okay. A little bit ugly and strange looking. Not so secret spy looking as they could be. And Futuron. Yep, that's right. Futuron with its big blue windshields. It's a pretty big monorail system. If you have that, hold on to that. It's really worth a lot. There are several monorail systems that came out. This one and the one from '94, it's Unitron. That's probably the most valuable space monorail system, but this one is as well. Especially if you have an original box. This one, it's very valuable. Hold on to that one. Blacktron, kind of ugly. I do like this Invader. And we can talk more about that when we get into the 80s sets and 80s catalogs. Invader, they re-released it as a new edition set not too long ago. I believe it was 2022. I may be mistaken on that. It looks great. And I like the 80s one too. I think that one looks cool. I like the look of that. The others are weird. They're kind of just, I'm not sure what to make of all of them. I do think this is a good base, or at least the scale of it is good, because the second iteration of Blacktron in 91 with the green, second generation, I guess, doesn't quite... It's not as quite as a big of a base. Obviously, there's places to land, but not as much usable space. It's really odd. Space Police, I like this. I like that they have this little striker ship, and they have the big ship. The second generation kind of did that as well. I like the second generations better, of course. That's what I grew up with as a kid. But I really like that one. This little galactic peacekeeper, the striker. This is a strange base, but you know what? This makes a lot of sense if you're Space Police, that you have an isolation lockup base. And it's kind of torturous though. They're gonna just sit there. Space Police is all new this year, by the way, it looks like. But they're just gonna sit there in this base in a jail cell in the isolation of space and watch as the Space Police come and go. That's pretty that's pretty brutal. Like that's like locking somebody up underwater. Like like that's torture. Anyways, I do think this is kind of a logical type set that was not repeated. They should have had a place with a jail cell if they are Space Police in the other generations, and they did not. So I do like that. This is a super strange set. I think most of that is the appeal of the lights and sound. Otherwise, that's a terrible design. I guess that's just my opinion, but yeah, whatever these are, leftover Futurons. They're not even themed, but they're blue like the Futuron. Had a lot of these space minifigures. Those are pretty cool because you get a yellow, red, blue. Anyways, Space Police, I think, wins that year, in my opinion. Those are definitely the best. Okay, moving on. My favorite theme is castle. Obviously, a lot of this channel has been a castle display for now. Just because... well, I'll talk about it later. But anyways... The battle for Legoland Castle. Forestmen, Black Knights, and Guardians of the Grey Castles. Well, who are they? I guess we're lumping Grey Castles. We're lumping Black Falcons and Lion Knights all into one at that point. Who will rule in Legoland Castle? There are 11 sets, including the new Forestmen's River Fortress and Knights Challenge. Those are two of my favorites. I love those. I love Forestman River Fortress. I know the complaint is there's not a lot of room inside. The inside's very lacking. But I think you can add to it, or you can make your own use of the inside. And I love the look of it. So we've got a few 80s leftovers still in this bottom section. And we have 3 Forestman sets at this point. And then there's the Knights Challenge. It's a beautiful set as far as the colors go. Their display consists of the Knights Challenge kind of being the main focal point for that year in this section of the catalog. And there is the Joust, with the Black Monarch knocking over the Lion Knight. Not much else going on in the background, other than you can see a Forestman paying homage to the Queen, Princess, whoever's at the Knights Challenge. Okay, next we got some boats. The boats that really float, and they've been around for a long time. I'm not sure the year that they got introduced, but since this year doesn't say new, That means they were introduced even earlier than this. So we'll discover that as we keep going back in time. But that is a cool idea. However, I would venture to guess that you had two categories of kids. One that ruined them upon entry, and then another kid that probably babied them so much they didn't want to put them in the water. And that was me. I couldn't stand the idea of pieces going into the water, falling off, and going down the drain. Like, I literally had nightmares about it. You know, as a little kid. Nightmares about Lego pieces being lost forever. Which you know is going to happen. So, yeah. Tell me what you think about those. Did you have these? You know, it's cool that they really float, but why risk it? I don't know. What did you float them in? Did you go into your backyard and instead of a sandbox, have a baby pool with floating Legos? I guess that would be a safe place that if they dropped, it wouldn't go anywhere, but you'd have to really be into getting into the water with your Legos. That's pretty obsessive. I don't know. But tell me your thoughts on that. Okay, cool. And then we've got Technic stuff. And I never talk about Technic. I'm not into it. I'm not an engineer type person. However, have always been great skeleton designs of these that are useful in other sets. Maybe let me know in the comments if you were into Technic, or if you made up your own pieces using techniques to put in other sets, or make your own sets with them. Then if you did that, you're probably an engineer type person. Okay. So the functionality of these were great. Always were pretty cool. The model sets, those are great. I don't understand why we couldn't have made them minifigure sized. They almost are. But yeah, there were some bigger minifigures at one point. They were really strange looking. But the 4x4 looks pretty cool. Excuse me. Here's the Builders Club. Once you sign up for a year, you can have a free Lego mini building set that comes in the mail. Oh, great, cool. 4 issues of the club magazine. Only 4 once a quarter. I was disappointed with that. That's why I didn't continue being a part of the Lego Club. Eventually it was called the Maniac Club. I didn't really care for it because, yeah, I wanted more catalogs. I wanted more magazines. Only a couple of years. It's kind of dumb. You get a special birthday package. Oh, that's cool. You get a special membership card and certificate. Ooh. Here are the accessories. Not too much that year other than the minifigures, which we had a bunch of Castle in Space minifigures from that year. We didn't have that many 80s sets, but boy, did people get us tons of these minifigures for some reason. I guess it was a cheap little birthday or Christmas item that extended friends and family could grab quickly. There you go. So there's accessories, plenty of them. A couple more on the back. And here's the shop at home order form. Had some people argue with me about shop at home. But all you got to do is call telephone. And you could pay by a credit card over the phone. And then give them your mailing address and give them a set number. And that was common. That was a common thing to do, especially in your area if one of these sets was not available, which was quite common for me because I didn't live in a large metro area of the United States growing up. There's a train station. That looks really cool. I would have liked to see that up close a little bit more. Maybe an expanded version. There's a couple of train accessories and down accessories in the back. So there you have it. That was a really long-winded but fun look at 1989, the last of the 80s Lego catalogs. The year the pirates were introduced. What a cover. That's awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share the videos if you want to see more LEGO videos. Take care.